Hey guys, thanks for joining me on this episode of Flight of Fancy. I'm excited for my guest, Evan. Not only is he making a name for himself as an author, but as someone to watch in the tech world. So Evan, thanks for joining me on this episode of Flight of Fancy.
Thank you. No, thanks for having me.
So Evan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Right, so my name is Evan Picarello. I'm the founder of Catasci, which is a software company. And I do have my own social network and some mobile apps and also a couple of kids' books too. So yeah, I'm all over the place.
No, that's awesome. So Evan, tell us how and why you got started. What was the driving force behind your website and then your children's books?
Right. So I started in 2008 doing. I actually started off doing just programming video games. But that was something that's something that really appeals to more of my creative side. As far as artwork and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So so I did that for a couple years, and I made a couple games, but the amount of time that I put into it versus the amount of profit I was making from it, it wasn't really profit. It wasn't really balancing out. So I ended up switching to websites because I had a couple ideas for websites, and so ended up doing websites. And the kids book, that was really just that was more like an experiment. I wasn't planning on doing that full time, but I just tried it out just to see if if it was something that I could pursue full time. So I made one, and I published it on Amazon.
Oh, nice.
And then I was getting feedback from it. People were telling me, "Hey, this is a pretty cool book. I like this book," and most importantly, I was getting profit from it. I was actually getting sales from it.
Wow, that's really cool. So I just want to go back to the programming video games. So what did your video games consist of? What type of games were you creating?
They were, first I started doing computer games, just simple little arcade games.
Okay.
And then I switched over to mobile games on iPhone and Android.
Oh, cool. That's kind of neat. I'm always interested in that kind of thing. The whole app world. I know you and I've kind of talked a little bit about developing apps and stuff like that. So, what is the process for, starting to program any app or video game that you're currently working on?
Okay, so how I start is I usually start with just a general outline, sort of like if I was writing a paper or something. I look and see, what my audience would be, or, what this app would be intended for as far as, customers. And it's sort of cooking a little bit. You just get all the ingredients and you mix it together. And
That's
then,
a good way to put it.
Yeah. So, putting an app on iPhone or Android, they have a certain set of, quality standards that you have to meet. That's really just trial and error. You just submit your app I had to submit my app to iPhone maybe 6 times before they actually accepted it.
So when you say quality standard, what are they looking for when you submit your app?
They're looking for ease of use, how easy it is for the consumer to use the app, how fast the app is. It doesn't, and if it doesn't have any bugs. And a lot of times Apple will Apple will send, they'll reject your app. Like, I'll submit, you'll submit your app, right? And Apple, they'll send it back and they'll say something like, oh, you're, like, I remember one time Apple told me that my icon was too, it was too blurry or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I didn't even know. Yeah, I didn't know that they were paying attention like that. Cause Apple, I think that Apple, has actual, people, doing the testing for the apps. I know Android, they just have like an automated process, but mm-hmm. Apple, they actually have like humans behind it, I guess.
Right. A little more strict, right?
Yeah. So.
Gotcha. Make sure you're not just throwing out anything crazy. So,
yeah, right.
I don't know. So it's kind of cool. That's kind of neat. You know what I mean? It's always like cool to understand like that process, especially for those of us consumers more or less, because I know I'm not out here programming or doing anything. I'm just like, oh, this looks cool. Let me download that, you know? So,
right.
That's more my mentality.
Right.
So your book. So talk to us a little bit about your book that you have out right now.
So that book is called Intune, the Little Brown Bird. And it's basically about, the theme was about industrialization. And basically I wanted it to be about, like habitat loss and how contractors come and they, tear down a forest or something like that. And they just set up a building or something. And it's really the first part. That book is the first part in a series of books about just the environment in general.
Okay.
It's really something I care about, and I wanted to teach kids about it too. So basically it's just a little short story. It's about, a bird and his bird family, I guess. And he's in the forest, and these buildings that come in, they're tearing down the forest, and he has to figure out a way to save the forest from his home, I guess, from being taken over by these buildings.
Okay, cool. So you said that this book is basically part one of a series. So how many more books do you think you will add to this first installment of Intune, the Little Brown Bird?
I'm at least looking to have a trilogy at least. But there's so many topics on the environment. I could really just go indefinitely until, I run out of topics about the environment.
Right.
So have you started the second book to this trilogy?
Yes. I started my second book right now.
Nice.
I got the same character and the same sort of theme, but it's just a variation on the environment. It's more about pollution instead of industrialization.
Okay.
So it's the same character, same theme, but different topic.
Nice. Well, that's cool. And so this is a children's book. So what's like the age range for this book?
Age range is about 5 to 10 years old. I want to produce something that's going to be something that people, they actually want to buy. I don't want to just produce products just because,
Well, it takes a lot to write a book, so I know it's like not an easy thing, or I don't know, it might be an easy thing for you. Sitting down and really writing a book, you have to free up a lot of time, I feel like. But I mean, I don't know, that's probably just me because I take forever to like write certain things.
Yeah.
But,
right.
So what was that process like writing this book?
It was hard, I'm not gonna lie. It was difficult because, that's not really my background. I came from like computers and programming. And so for me to start writing, stories, it took me a while. And I ended up scrapping. I had a bunch of stories, but I didn't like them, so I threw them out. That was like the third draft. So didn't really have anybody to run it by. So, I just kind of went out on a limb and just produced it, and people told me it was a good story. But I wanted to see the thing about that book is it was a good story for kids, but I wanted something that was a little bit more realistic. Because I won't spoil the ending for the first book, but basically,
Right.
yeah, it was like, it wasn't something that I feel that, kids could really do, if they wanted to, I guess, aspire to be, inspired by this book, and they wanted to apply what they learned from the book. They couldn't really do that. I wanted my second book to be a little bit more realistic and have something that, you can actually do in real life. So.
Right. I got you. Hey, well, it's all about the learning process, right?
Right, yeah, you're right about that.
It's all good, though.
I'm still learning. And I make mistakes, but, the important thing is to learn from your mistakes. Like, you don't want to just keep making the same mistakes over and over again.
Right, that is very true. While we're on the wave of books, what books or podcasts are you listening to right now?
So I just got finished reading 2 books. One of them was called The Lean Startup, by Eric Ries. And it's about how an entrepreneur can build a business and test it without having to spend a fortune. Like some people think, well, I know there's business owners out there or people who want to start their business who think they need a lot of money, but in some cases, I guess it depends on the business you're running, but in some cases you don't really need a lot of money. And you can start your business and test your business idea first before you spend any money. And that's what this book is about.
Oh, nice. I like that.
And then
because as an entrepreneur right now, sorry to cut you off, but yeah, so
no,
right
go
now,
ahead.
I am obviously doing this podcast, so that requires little startup for this investment. And then, just working on outside projects with my nonprofit. I mean, that does take a lot of time, effort, resources. So I know how that is. But yeah, I think that is a big misconception of a lot of people when they want to start a business or start something. They do think that they need, a shit ton of money, for lack of better words.
Right.
But,
yeah, right.
I mean, I guess it kind of depends on the business that you decide to do. But at the end of the day, just start with what you have. And then from there, you can definitely build into something, a little more profitable and, something more tangible down the road. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, you just really have to start and then just start with what you have. So
right, exactly.
I think that would be the best thing for most people out there. A little bit of advice for y'all out there. So.
No, you're right, though. Like you said, though, just start with what you have, and most importantly, just start. I know a lot of people who just, they have ideas, and they just sit on their ideas, and, they wait for the right moment, but there's not really a right moment. You just gotta start, and just put yourself out there. Everything comes. I feel like everything has a risk. Like even building a business.
Yeah.
But you're never gonna know unless you actually start it. There's also a risk to not starting a business too. So.
Absolutely. Regret.
Right. Yeah. Right.
No, but
So,
yeah, definitely, because we all like try to wait for like the right moment, the right time, but you know, just with like a lot of things, there's never going to be that perfect moment. So you should just take that leap and just do it. Honestly,
exactly, right.
yeah, especially starting out. I mean, I know the process can be like a little daunting because you have this idea, you think it's amazing, but you need to get feedback from, you know, your consumers and stuff like that. So you just kind of want to make sure that your idea isn't totally crazy, but, you know, it can still, you know, yield you an income, because obviously we start a business because we either see like a gap in the market, or we think we can do something better. But obviously, yes, you want to be able to support yourself and have an income. So you don't necessarily want to just be like, all right, well, let me do this and let's pray for the best. I mean, I kind of think that is sometimes what we do a little bit, you know. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to like have something that is good for our consumers, you know.
Right.
So I get it. It can be a little trying in the beginning, but once you get the ball rolling and then like you get good responses and stuff, then you know that's a little bit of an ego boost.
Yeah,
and
right.
then you can kind of keep it rolling.
Right. Yeah, once you get that momentum, you know, like you said, you can keep going. And like, yeah, when you get that ego boost, you know, that'll really keep you going too.
For sure. Because it's like, okay, well, that is a little validation that I'm doing something right.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely. So you said you were reading 2 books. So what was the other book that you were reading or just finished?
So yeah, The Lean Startup was the first one, and the second one is called Will It Fly by Pat Flynn. And that's another business book. I actually recommend that book more than the first one, only because it's more practical, and it has like strategies that you can try like today, like right now. And also he gave a couple of examples of, I guess, people who they just starting their business for the first time, and what his book is about is it's like a multi-part book, and it's about figuring out what you like to do, and then turning your passions into a business, and then testing your business idea.
Okay.
Right, and then you test your business idea and get feedback. Then you can grow your business in a way that's good for you, because you know, if you start a business and it's not really something that you care about, then basically the way he was describing it was, you know, you're not really going to be as involved in that business, you know, versus you starting a business that, you know, that's something that interests you.
Right. No, definitely.
I'm kind of paraphrasing here. I don't really remember everything. But
it's all good.
Yeah.
But it makes sense though. I mean, it's kind of like with our 9-to-5 jobs, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, yes, we need to have an income, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not always what we want to do, or, you know, you might lose interest after a while. So if you're not invested, I mean, who else will want to take the chance to invest in what you're talking about or doing? And then you just don't want to be wasting your time, honestly.
Right. And that's how that's how he said it too. He was like, if you're not invested in your own business, then it'll be hard for you to persuade other people to invest in your business. He has a podcast too. His podcast is called Smart Passive.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, it's called Smart Passive Income. I never got a chance to listen to it, but I read some of the reviews. So a lot of people said, not a lot, but some people said that it was basically a lot of the same information that's in his book. So I ended up just reading the book instead of listening to the podcast.
Like, who inspires you, or like what inspires you to keep your business going? So, but you have your children's books, and then you have your social media with Catasai. So, like, what or who inspires you to keep going on your journey?
I would say, most of all, my biggest inspiration are just my goals. I have a lot of goals that I'm trying to achieve in the future, and I'm sort of a stubborn person. Like I don't like to give up on things, and so I like to see things through to the end. Like, even if it doesn't pan out, I just want to know I tried my best, and I didn't just quit in the middle and just gave up. And so that's really one of my biggest inspirations. As far as people go, I would say Michael Dell from Dell Computer. I learned about his story through a YouTube channel I watched called Company Man, and I was inspired by just his dedication. Like, he started when he was young, and he was in college, and he built a whole business in college, and he didn't. A lot of businesses, they get to a certain point and they just sell their business to a bigger company or something.
Right.
But Michael Dell, he stuck with his business. I think he's still in charge of his business even today. And
wow.
Yeah, he didn't just build a business just to make money and retire. And he was actually passionate about his business.
So do you see yourself, like, building something like that, or like, where's your mindset?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely see myself building something, and continuing to run a business. I want to have a business on that level. The Dell computers, the Microsofts, the Apples. I want to have a big business like that. Because it's just something, that I'm passionate about, and I know it's going to take a long time, but I just want to, follow in his footsteps and try to, build something that I can say, okay, this is, I built this, from the ground up, and,
right.
I took this business and grew it from basically nothing.
That's awesome. I think you can definitely do it. I know you and I have had like one-off conversations and stuff like that. So I know, where your heart and your passion lies. And if you just keep on like this path, I'm pretty sure you can get there.
Thanks.
No problem. So what advice would you have? I know we kind of touched on that like a little bit, but what advice would you have for someone who is, thinking of starting a business, or who is already in the process of their business right now?
My advice would be, I would say just to start. You never know until you try. And one of my biggest things is really just managing your time. Well, yeah. You can't really manage. One thing I learned from another book I read is that you can't really manage your time, because time will keep going no matter what. But you can manage what you do with your time. And I would say, if you have an idea or a dream and you want to start your business, and a lot of people, some of the people I talk to, they give a reason. Oh, I have kids, or I have a family or something. And I'm like, I feel like you just be able to find a way to manage your time, or manage your I guess your task, so you can make time, to build your business.
Right, absolutely.
But that's really my two biggest things is just start, and also I feel like another big thing would be just to learn from your mistakes, because building a business is not easy. I mean, you're gonna make mistakes, but like I said before, the point is to learn from your mistakes, and try to apply those mistakes or the lessons you learn to continue your business and build your business. I had other things, but they just like went over my head. Like I can't really. I'm sure. Right, I'm sure.
Hey, if you think about them, just let me know.
Yeah, right.
I was gonna say, if you think about them, just throw it in there.
Right. Usually I would have like a thousand tips and everything. I'd be like, okay, you should do this, and this. But today I'm just like, watch after this podcast is over. I think all those tips, that I was gonna say and everything.
It's all good.
But yeah, that's all I got. So my biggest thing is just start. Just start your business. If it doesn't work out, hey, at least you can say you tried. So.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, I know for me, like, because the reason I'm laughing is because, like, ever since I was like little or whatever, because I have conversations with my cousin, and we. Like, ever since we were younger, we've always had, like, that mindset of, like, having our own business and, like, just being entrepreneurs and all that. So, when we were younger, we would, like, have, like, a restaurant or something like that. So, we always thought big scale, like, even when we were kids. So, it's kind of cool now to, as we're older, how we're both branching off into different aspects of our creative side. But yeah, but the reason I laughed about, you're going to make mistakes and all that stuff. And if it doesn't work out, try again. Because, like, Lord knows I've tried to do, like, different ventures, whether it was, like, on my own or if it was, like those, the multi-level marketing stuff, what I mean? Yeah. So I'm just like, oh, well, let me try that. Oh, this seems cool. Let me do that. But, like, to your point, like, about having the passion and the drive, like, it really wasn't, like, in me to just, like, sell certain products or whatever the case may be or whatever I was doing or, building, like, this one product over here. But then I was like, ugh, I'm not really feeling it, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I just kind of put that to the wayside. So I definitely understand. And then, like, as I'm working through a lot of things, my business is, like, evolving into different avenues. So it's like, with my sports business, that actually started out, because I didn't really talk about this on my episode, but it kind of started out as a t-shirt business.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So I started that, but then so I stopped it. But then I was like, I still really like the name Green Leopard Sport, or like Green Leopard was the name of it. But then I evolved it into the sports. So then that's kind of where that name stayed, but it just evolved into like a sports company. But ironically, I am working on apparel.
Oh.
Funny, right? For it. So I will have, sports or like active wear for, any of the athletes that come through or whatever, with my business. So, kind of kept the name, added a little piece of it, and just kind of evolved it into something else. So
you had a good point when you were talking about because you say you started off making, you wanted to do clothing, right?
Yeah, I was doing like t-shirts.
But back to my point, but see, it's a good thing you did, like you started that, because I guess, while you're working through your business, you know, you found another avenue that you could really work on. So, like, that was my whole point. Back to what back to what I was saying about just starting your business. You might get an opportunity or discover an avenue or something that, you know, is not directly related, but, you know, semi-related, and, you know, you might, you know, you can still pursue it. But, basically, my tips for my advice, just for a general summary, I would say, just, start your business, or just go for it, and learn from your mistakes. And it sounds so cliche, but, I mean, it's really true.
I think that's solid advice, because you're not going to know, you know, like, what you're capable of if you just keep sitting on it and not, like, really getting after it. And then, of course, our mistakes are what helps us to be better, which sounds crazy, but you won't ever really learn or, you know, figure out what you need to work or tweak, you know, if everything is just 100% smooth, you know. But since we were talking about, like, starting and, like, making mistakes and stuff like that, so what are any struggles or successes that have come your way since starting your businesses?
Oh, that's a good question. So most of my struggles are just, they're time, I guess, oriented struggles. Like, I was spending, you know, I had a business I was working on, and I spent about 5 years. Well, it wasn't really a business; it was more just a program. And I spent about 5 years working on it, and it basically ended up going nowhere. So, you know, that was really one of the biggest lessons that I learned early on, back when I was starting my business. Because, you know, I had this, I guess, idealistic hope for the product, and, you know, it was, I guess, I was thinking too big. And you know, at the time, I really didn't have the resources to build a product of that kind of scope. You know, it was too big, and that's really one of the mistakes I'm learning. You know, now I don't spend years on if I have an idea, you know, I'll spend maybe at the most a couple months, you know, working on it and testing it out. And so that way, you know, the idea doesn't go anywhere, or it's not as, I guess, profitable as I want it to be. You know, I haven't lost too much time, but so that's really one of my biggest struggles, and just having a balance between, you know, work and business and life. Sometimes you kind of get distracted by just you know, life and business in general, and you lose track of time. So I try to keep a balance between, you know, my work life and my business life, and then my I guess employee life.
I hear you. Because I know you got a lot going on, you know, like with the job, and then, of course, like building, you know, your business and all of that. So it can definitely get exhausting. And it's like, what do I have time for now? But that kind of brings me to my next question for you. So how do you try to relax or reset your mind with all of this that you have going on?
I like to I'm kind of a creative person, so I like to just do random, like, creative projects. Like I'm working on another game, but it's more of just a personal hobby. It's not really this is not really a product that I'm gonna be showing to anybody. It's just just for fun. Yeah, and also I like to daydream. Sometimes I like to daydream and just I daydream a lot. Like it's kind of embarrassing to say, but sometimes I just
I mean, that's like different. Like, you know what I mean? Because like we're usually like, oh, I'll go to massage, like work out, like do this, do that. You know what I'm saying? But like daydream, that's a different response. So I like that. I embrace that. So like, when you daydream, like, are you thinking about certain things, or is it just like blank? Like what is that like for you? I guess.
I just I guess when when I'm sitting there and I'm working on my business and it gets quiet, so I just start putting myself in just random situations where I'm like one time a couple of days ago I was daydreaming about Shark Tank, and I was thinking, I was like, so what would I do if I was in that situation, and I just like thought about like how I would go. It turns out it went pretty good. So
who made the offer?
all of them did. They gave me
that all of them on your side. I like that.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, that's a good, it's sort of embarrassing talking about it now, but it's a good way.
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, like, when you say it out loud, though, like, I feel like we all do that. Like, you know what I mean? To certain capacity. Just thinking about, like, oh, well, I see my business being like this, or, you know what I mean? So, it's not embarrassing. I think it's pretty dope, honestly. I like that. Cool.
Yeah. So that really helps.
That's awesome though.
But besides that though, I got little hobbies. And sometimes I might binge watch some TV shows or something.
So what shows are you like watching right now? Like, or what would you binge at this moment?
I've been catching up on 24. You know that TV show?
I do know it. I haven't seen it, but I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's like an older show, but I haven't seen it, so I just figured I'd give it a shot.
Yeah. So what like genre do you like? Are you like in the crime life, like, or like what kind of like shows do you like to watch?
I like okay, so the last shows I did watch were all so 24. That was more of an action show. I watched Breaking Bad. It was more of a
life.
Yeah, it was like a drug life show. But I like it though, because it was from the perspective of like a suburban high school teacher turned into a drug dealer. So it was pretty unique, I guess. But there's a lot of movies I still gotta catch up on. Like I gotta catch up on all the Avengers, all the Harry Potters, and all the
So when you said Avengers, it made me think of I don't know why, because it's like totally opposite, but the Joker movie, I definitely want to go see that. I think it comes out October 4th. So I'm pretty excited to go see that movie.
Yeah, I know. It seems like they're going a different. It looks interesting because it like seems like they're going in a different direction. Like,
yeah, I don't have like the full vibe of it. Like, I only saw like the clips, of course, like, on Instagram. So I don't know like what the true backstory is, but I'm down to watch it.
Yeah. But besides besides that though, I've mainly been listening to there's this guy on YouTube. His name is Company Man, and he just does these little. He's like he basically is he does like a podcast, but on YouTube. Like it's just he throws in a couple of charts sometimes, but it's mostly just him talking. And it's actually pretty interesting. I would recommend it to anybody who's trying to start their business, because he just goes through. He basically just explains. Well, he has two series. One of them is like the history of companies, and then one of them is like why they're successful, and they're both really good.
Well, it definitely sounds interesting, so I'll have to check that out. But Evan, what do you see in your journey? Like, what are the next steps that you're thinking about? Like, what do you see within like the next 5 years or so?
Oh, so I see myself, as far as my business goes, I see my business generating enough revenue that I can work in my business full time, because that's really my ultimate goal, is to work in my business full time, so that way I don't have to work at apply to other people's companies and work for other people. So that's where I see myself in the next 5 years, and hopefully I see my website to be as big as the Snapchat and the Instagram. I want my social, because I have a social network, and I want to try to carve out a spot in that market to be as big as those other social networks. As far as my books go, I see my books being I see all three of my books finished and completed by. Even before 5 years, they should, because they take about maybe a couple months to build. So yeah, they should be done way before 5 years. And that's really the goal. The goal with those books is really just to teach kids about the environment. I wouldn't go as far as to say, I don't care about profit, but profit is really, as far as my priorities go, profit is secondary to just teaching kids about the environment. That's really what my priorities lie, as far as with the kids book. And after that, I'm just gonna go back, because I really want to go back to making video games again. And once I get started, and once I get enough momentum going, I'm gonna hire a team and start working full time on making good video games again, because that's really my biggest passion is making video games. I like making websites and books too, but I really like making video games.
So what? So in your brain right now, like, what do you see like for your next video game? Like, what would you want to create? Like, what type of game would you want to create?
Oh, okay. So the next game I'm going to create is I actually have a series of video games I'm trying to produce, and they're still in the works right now, so I can't really talk about them too much. But I will say that I will say the next game I'm trying to produce is a cook game, like a chef game. It's like you're in the place of a chef, and you just make the food and you serve the food to people. But it doesn't sound that impressive right now. But once I get it together,
yeah, definitely,
I'll be able to because video games are something that you have to see to really understand. I can describe it, but yeah, so but that's my next game.
But the way my mind works too, like, I just feel like as you're talking about it, I can kind of see like a little bit of like what the game could consist of. So I don't know, I have a really wild, active imagination. So
yeah,
I'm there with you. You know?
Yeah, you get it. See, that's why I like doing this interview with you, because you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, for real. But I'm just like, okay, well, cool. Like, I get it. It's more than like the 3 words that you're saying about it. Because I know you said you can't really like elaborate much on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you're totally fine.
Right.
I guess.
Because, okay, but I will say this. The next couple of games that I'm making, they're part of like a platform that I'm building right now, and the platform is basically it's a separate platform from, you know, what's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I want people to play games, you know, through my platform instead of playing them through, you know, whatever platform is out there right now, like phones or, you know, computers or Xboxes, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah. You got it. You can do it. I believe in you. Just, you know, like take small steps, you know, every day, and like in no time you'll be there.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely a long journey.
Yeah, but you got it.
Right, yeah.
And when it happens, we'll be like, remember we talked about this on that podcast? So, you know, we're just putting it out there, so it's definitely going to happen.
I'd be like, shout out to Courtney from the Flight of Fancy podcast. You'll be the first to know.
Yes. Awesome. We'll revisit this in a year.
Yeah.
Oh, Evan, before we get out of here, can you let all of our listeners know where they can find you?
No, you can follow me on casicrane.com. That's CASICRANE/Cadasi, CADASI. That's my own social network that I built. So, you know, I would say, you know, all those other social networks, but, you know, I'd rather you follow me on my social network. And but if you can, you know, you can visit me at my website, Cadasi, CADASI.com. And yeah, that's where I'll be.
Well, Evan, thank you so much for joining me today. It was so much fun interviewing you.
Yeah, no problem. It was good talking to you.
Yes, good talking with you too. Thanks again, Evan.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this interview of Evan as much as I did. But until the next episode, keep creating. Bye.